How's it going, everyone? Want to go over a impressive stat that Steam seems to be crushing every couple of months, and that is the very impressive Steam concurrent player count stat, and they have broken another milestone on that. We'll talk about that, and also indicator of kind of Steam's status right now as far as there's a lot of talk on video card prices, of course, and I also see in my comment section whenever I discuss, buying higher end video cards, what are PC players actually utilizing as far as hardware. There is a graph that is available as far as percentage of Steam users by GPU performance, and I find it quite interesting, and it gives us an insight to that player base that is steadily growing and growing. And that is my first point in this video. Steam has just cracked a major threshold. This is an all-time peak for the platform, and it seems like Steam is regularly breaking their all-time peak. What it is an indicator of? PC gaming is growing and growing and growing, and seeing stats like this is so insane to me, because I remember when I got into PC gaming in 2011, 2012, and there were a lot of benefits to PC gaming. However, it was still very much not the premier platform. There were a lot of publishers not releasing their games on PC, particularly the Japanese publishers, and I'm a big fan of JRPGs, as you know, and at that time, that was, if I was to go all in on PC gaming in 2011 and not have a PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 4, that would have been a big sacrifice, and I still had a PlayStation 3 and a PS4. I mean, I still have a PS5 now, but you get the idea. If I'm in that position, there were sacrifices that you were to make from a game library standpoint, and now, because of this player count and the amount of people that are playing games on PC, it's exponentially increased, and now the Japanese game offerings are so high on PC, and I bring up that point because I feel like that point illustrates how much this consumer base has grown. Japanese titles on PC for a long time, it was just thought of as that's never gonna happen. Yeah, you would see maybe a Resident Evil come out as a Windows release and things of that nature, but JRPGs coming out, and that steadily changed. And it wasn't just that. Beyond just Japanese RPGs, Sony first-party games, there is so many people gaming on PC now, and because it's not a direct competitor to consoles, depending on how you perceive it, Sony is now releasing their games on PC as well. I don't think Nintendo is ever gonna go down that route, but if you told me a decade ago that PC was gonna have PlayStation releases like Last of Us and games like that, I would have said you're crazy. But that is where we are, and a big portion of that and the reasoning of that is because of the growth of Steam. And think about over the years as well, other publishers have looked at how much money Steam was generating from a revenue standpoint, and they decided to make their own platforms and decide that, hey, if Steam can make this much money, we have IPs like Assassin's Creed, we have IPs like Fallout, we have IPs like Call of Duty and Battlefield. That's sure to draw people on over to other people and other platforms, and it didn't. And that it goes to show how important it is to have a functional, quality platform at the helm of it all. And beyond all of that, if you really look at the console landscape, and I say that, and I bring up the console landscape because they are platform holders. Valve and Steam is a platform holder. It's the platform. When do consoles lose a lot of their market share? Usually, it's because they fumble in an absolutely egregious way. I bring up PlayStation 3, $599 vividly embedded into my memory. Xbox One, always online console. That is when they lose a lot of their market share. Wii U, like the disaster that was that platform, although the Wii U in a lot of ways set the infrastructure for what the Switch ultimately become, but you get the idea. It's usually them fumbling. Why I believe Steam has just continued to grow and grow and grow is because there hasn't been a lot of fumbling in a large degree. I get that people will bring up game censorship and things of that nature, and certainly that has given GOG an avenue to kind of prop themselves up, but I don't think that was this gigantic consequential error that, Xbox did with the always online, that PlayStation did with $599. The reality is Steam as a platform has generally treated the consumer really well, and Another reality that I think people would come to understand is that, let's be honest, if Sony or PlayStation was in the position that Steam was in, you just swap them. If they could get away with it, they would absolutely charge you to pay to play online. Mind you, Xbox literally did do that. Microsoft, I should say, literally did do that. Valve has so much power right now in terms of their position in the PC gaming landscape, and the fact that they really haven't abused that power to an egregious degree, based on what we've seen PlayStation, Microsoft, and so many other entities do. Again, Microsoft literally trying to get pay-to-play online going on PC, but I think what Steam is a clear indicator of is that consumer goodwill goes such a long way. And yes, you could bring up this or that issues that Steam has had, but generally speaking, 9 out of 10 times the consumer goodwill hasn't eroded. Maybe for you personally, but generally speaking, that consumer goodwill is so strong. When people talk about Steam, generally speaking, it's in a very, very positive light. And I think that consumer goodwill has just gone such a long way, where a lot of other entities erode that consumer goodwill, and you see the damage that it could do to an entity like a Ubisoft and so on and so forth. I just think Valve and Steam has to continue riding this momentum. They literally are an autopilot, and maybe for the longevity and the long-term prospects, that's not the best thing in the world because things can change so fast. The structuring of Valve, who's in charge, etc., that can change, and they might pivot, and they might go in a different direction, and you would want alternatives. You would want a GOG to be there. Hell, you would want an Epic Game Store to be there because alternatives in any type of market is a good thing. That's what's going to drive the healthiest place for the consumers. But in the case of Steam, there are alternatives available. Epic Game Store exists, GOG exists, and I love GOG and what they do, but Steam just does what Steam does. They treat the consumer fairly well, and ultimately they are rewarded as such. And I think if they just keep going down that route, they're going to continue to grow and grow. And the thing about gaming as well is that this is just a medium that I believe is going to continue to grow. I know that people want to get crazy about, oh my god, graphics cards are too expensive, oh my god this, oh my god that, gaming is washed. I feel like a lot of that is doom and gloom, and yes, we cover the negative on this channel. I talk about the negative a lot because I feel like it's worthwhile to talk about, but I also talk about the great. I talk about all the good games that come out. Yes, I will cover all of the garbage PC ports because people need to be aware about that, but I will also cover Expedition 33 and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Dynasty Warriors Origin. Shout out to Tecmo Koei for actually dropping a good PC version in my experience, but even beyond that, there are just so many games. The quantity of games that are available these days is just so ridiculous that even if there are bad ports, even if there are live service garbage titles that come out that publishers are just pouring money and money into, there are always going to be quality games coming out. And I had a conversation about this with somebody earlier, a few weeks ago, but gaming as like an entertainment medium is going to continue growing because we are still only a few generations removed of gaming really exploding. Like, when did gaming explode? I want to say in the 80s, mid-80s, that's when it really started picking up steam, and it's only continued to gain more and more steam. But as new people age up, there's a new audience that's getting into gaming. I told the story how I recently talked to I believe it was 21 or 22, and they told me that their first single-player game, so they were playing like a lot of sports games and, you know, Fortnite and things of that nature, but their first single-player game was Assassin's Creed Origins in 2017. That seems like yesterday to me, but that just goes to show that there's this new generation coming up, and they're finding games, and for what Assassin's Creed 2 was to me, what Borderlands 1 was, what Infamous was to this new generation, it's Assassin's Creed Origins, which is crazy to think about, because I look at Assassin's Creed Origins with so much vitriol, because I believe, you know, I'm a little salty that it pushed Assassin's Creed in a certain way, but what I'm saying is that there's so many new people that are coming into gaming as well, that the audience is just expanding, because generationally, as people are getting older, the older generations, they didn't play a lot of games. You know, people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, I know that there are certainly people that are older that are playing games, but it wasn't as widespread in that era, at least I don't believe so, than it is now. Like, it is so commonplace now that generally speaking, it's just going to get bigger. And also, there are people moving away from consoles more and more, I feel scale every year, especially, again, when you look at the people that are getting older and now they have a bit of disposable income, they're gonna go to PC. I still think PC, it would be great if we could find an avenue to get a more accessible piece of hardware. I know the deck is out there, and that's great. Hopefully, the Steam machine, it's not gonna be something that's gonna be super cheap, but maybe we can work our way there at some point. No time in the near future, given the craziness of graphics cards and things of that nature, but ultimately, it would be great if we could get there. A more open platform that's also fairly accessible, you know, at $500 or something like that, which I know people are gonna, buy the used parts here, buy this, that, you can get a $500 PC, but you guys get what I'm saying. I think the sky is the limit for PC gaming, and I don't want to doom and gloom in the sense that, you know, graphics card prices are crazy, because I've been saying it over and over again. There's gonna be a plethora of games that are gonna come out this year that a toaster is gonna be able to run. You know, a toaster, probably a little bit of an exaggerated thing, but you get the idea. Code Vein 2 is not gonna require a behemoth PC to run. Resident Evil Requiem, not gonna require a behemoth PC to run. I'm playing Legend of Yours Trails Beyond the Horizon later this month. That's not gonna require a behemoth PC to run. Yes, there are gonna be intensive games as well. There's also gonna be garbage PC versions as well, but there's gonna be great games that all PCs, or, you know, a lot of PCs are gonna be able to run, and I still think PC is gonna be at a fairly healthy place in 2026. And then you do want to look at this breakdown of what PC players and Steam players are actually using as far as their hardware. The majority of people are not using top-of-the-line hardware. I'm on an RTX 4070, and there's a great graph that is put out, and that would put me in the high-end category, just breaking into that. But, you know, you're talking about majority of people are still on an RTX 3060, and I bring up the 3060 over and over again. That's a mid-range, 13% is the breakdown, and that includes GPUs like the 2060, 2070, 4060, 5060, laptop variants, 5700 XT, 6600 XT, but it behooves every major developer to make sure their games run on a 3060. Ideally, you would want to make sure your games can run on a 1660 so you can get that audience as well. Below a 1660, I can understand, but really think about the games that were coming out in 2019, 2020 that were optimized for a 1660. And look at the games nowadays. Are they visually that much better, that much more impressive? Yeah, the games are certainly out there. Like a Plague Tale Requiem, I think, looks incredible. I think there are games here or there that look really, really good. But is it orders of magnitude better where you want to run out and spend $500, $600, $700 on a new graphics card? I think that's up for debate. And I think from a developer standpoint, making sure your game can scale well, that is the key to all of this. Yes, try to optimize it for the higher end hardware if you can, but scale it well so it can run on the lower end hardware. Maybe not at 100 frames per second, but it can run fairly well because so many people are on a 3060 or on a 1660. And the reality of the situation is, based on cost of living just being so high, and on top of that, when you talk about it just from a gaming standpoint, there are more options than ever for high quality video games that look great and can run on lower hardware. That imperative to upgrade hardware just because X game is coming out, there's fewer and fewer reasons to do that. Even if a big game is coming out that is really optimizing that high-end hardware, everybody's gonna be different, but is it truly a system seller anymore, in the sense that you have to get that game because there's so many other games that come out, there's so much competition for your time and your dollar that, hey, I can give this game my time, it's better optimized, it's gonna run on my lower end hardware, and it's being received really well, I'll just go play that. That is a question certainly to be had, and I'm sure Witcher 4 is going to look great on a higher end hardware when that comes out in 2027, hopefully. I'm also pretty confident that CDPR is going to try their hardest to get that game running on lower end hardware. And sure, you can talk about 12GB of VRAM being a necessity and people are getting locked out with 8GB VRAM configurations at higher resolutions. I get that. But at the same time, a lot of these games are super unoptimized, and is it the end of the world that you can't play the latest unoptimized Unreal Engine 5 slop? Like again, that's something for you as the individual to decide. And it's not fair for me to say that because, dude, I'm trying to play every major new game release that comes out. But I'll be honest with you guys, if I wasn't making content on YouTube, my gaming habits would be totally different than what they are. As somebody that's regularly trying to play every new game that comes out, I see it. Like, it gets exhausting. I would be dropping a lot of the games that I play on PC on the basis of them just being an atrocity as far as performance goes, but I feel like, dude, I should play these games until conclusion. And a lot of the times, they're not even games that I want to play. But again, that's my individual preferences on what games I want to play, the games that are coming out, and how I'm taking in gaming. And I'm definitely not one of these people that's like, oh my god, the games these days aren't good. Like, bro, we get so many great games every year. If you want to focus on just the live service games, if you want to focus on Starfield and these types of games, which I'll talk about because it's relevant to the industry, but I'm not just going to ignore everything else great that comes out. What I'm trying to get at is, even if you are in one of these mid-range PC builds with a 2060, a 2070, a 3060, I think you're going to have a lot of options in 2026, and frankly, I think you're going to have a lot of options for the foreseeable future, and I think that is contributing to the health of Steam as well. When people have this, like, absolute doom take on, oh, this is going to be the end of PC gaming, because I literally had somebody close to me say that they think that this is going to be functionally the end of PC gaming. Verbatim the words that were told to me. Functionally the end of PC gaming because of the rising GPU costs. And obviously, there will be consequences to GPU prices going sky high. Do you think it's just gonna end up being PC gaming is going to die because of this moment in time? And hopefully it's not super long, but for this moment that costs are extremely high. I think it'll have effects, but I think, some of the takes are a little bit extreme. I think PC gaming is gonna be healthy, and obviously by the numbers, Steam is going to be very healthy as well. 41.8 million players, but I do find the stat breakdown on what GPUs people are utilizing in their builds very fascinating, and I think if that 3060 range, it would behoove them to really optimize for that hardware. Like, some of these games are just straight up garbage and unoptimized messes, and I get that, but, that's just an unfortunate reality. And I'll tell you guys this, I have a 4070. Do you think that suddenly me having a 4070 is eliminating all of the issues that are persisting into these PC ports? No. Mafia the Old Country crashed on me like 8 times. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater crashed on me like 15 times. I would consider that legitimate game-breaking experiences, and that's with a 4070. I'm just the one subjecting myself to some of these trash PC versions. Spider-Man 2, scarring. But at the same time, you get your KCD2s, which is very well optimized. You get your Dynasty Warriors Origins that, in my experience, was rather good. You get your Dynasty Warriors Origins that I think is quite well optimized, at least in my experience. Shout out to Tecmo Koei because they have a track record for garbage PC versions. Atelier Yumiya was not very good, but, it's a crapshoot sometimes. But there's still going to be good options. There's a legacy of quality games that thankfully Steam has, and a lot of them run really, really well still. The modding scene is great. I just think there's different angles that showcase the value of PC gaming outside of just, oh, let me buy a 5080, because trust me, my buddy that just bought a 5080 and Elden Ring is still a stuttering mess on his PC. Yeah, he's having a salty meltdown. Congrats on being among the 0.84% that have a 5080. Your experiences haven't been so good with Elden Ring and Spider-Man 2. Elden Ring, for most people, works really well for him. He's just got a lot of stuttering issues. But sometimes that's the crapshoot you gotta deal with. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, guys, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.